you just heard were some of my go-to worship sounds from my pedalboard and amp rig. And what I wanted was to get those sounds in here, so I set out to do just that. Now I'm sure a few of you are thinking, wait a minute, didn't he already recreate his pedalboard in the Quad Cortex? Well, yes, but this time I'm trying to create a palette of sounds specific to the worship genre. I also wanted to up the ante since we are going against not just pedals, but a real tube amp, and utilize the neural capture features to see just how close we can get. And let me tell you, it sounds really good. So why don't you come along for the journey and hear it for yourself. So I've got my Immix 11 hooked up to the Quad Cortex through the 2-nose torpedo captor. Basically, I'm using the head of the amp as my amp sound. The line level is coming into the Quad Cortex, and I'm using that for the cab synth. Sounds really close to my amp. It's maybe just a touch fuller, which is good because that's kind of what I wanted. I'm just gonna play around with this cab a little bit and see if we can get something maybe just like a touch brighter. This one's gonna be a little more nasal and hunky. I want something airy and I want something maybe just a little more midsy and a stereo spread that's gonna sound really, really cool. Oh, no. Yeah, that one's rich, I like that. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do a neural capture of the amp head. This is my first time doing a DI neural capture, kind of like what you do with a pedal. I'm thinking this is gonna be pretty one for one, but we'll see. I think it's pretty close. I just want to do some corrective EQ to see if we can get it just like that extra 5 to 10% further. I figured since the Klon is basically the holy grail of overdrive tones, it only seems fitting to include Klon sounds in a worship pedalboard. I got my Klon style drive here. I'm gonna see if I can get something maybe transparent to start. Sounds sick, very distorted. I think it just adds a little more warmth, which is exactly what I want. Kind of sounds like it's bringing the amp closer to what it actually was. I lost maybe like 5 to 10% of the gain in the capture. I think it sounds really good. I want to capture it for our stage 1 transparent drive. I'm going to come back and do something maybe a little more distorted with it. Sounds really good. I'm gonna grab it in this setting as well. Now that we got a transparent drive sound and a fairly ripping lead drive sound, I wanted to do something in the middle, a stage 2 or maybe stage 1.5, depending on how you want to slice it. I really like this Jackson Audio Belle Starr, and I think this is gonna be a really good option for that in-between sound. It's a lot brighter than the Klon. I really like this pedal a lot. I want the Belle Starr to work, so I'm gonna see what I can get here. What I really like about this pedal is there's an amp-like characteristic to it. It's just really rich. I think I can dial the gain back just a touch. When it comes to worship, I'm always looking for light and airy. And what that really means is I just like a lot of clarity of the notes. I'm looking for stuff that's gonna hear how the E and the B string really ring out. You can hear each note, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm not a huge modulation guy, and yeah, I know I got a Mobius, it makes no sense. I'm just going for a good all-around sound, maybe not as the 1975 80s chorus thing like I have in my other preset. I'm hoping this will come out more well-rounded and just overall more subtle. This one's definitely more subtle. I feel like I can barely hear it though. It's kind of cool, it's got a vibrato built into it. Yeah, that sounds really good. I wish it was maybe a little deeper. It's subtle, but it's doing enough that it's there, and it can still kind of do like the So I think we all know I have a thing with the delays now, and I just haven't quite gotten them to sound like the timeline. I use the tape on the timeline, but I find with the tape on here, it kind of turns to mush. This is an analog delay I've been using that I think is good. It's just not as clear. But I like the sound of it a lot. I like all the modulation. I mean, it also sounds good by itself. Let's turn the mix up quite a bit. I don't hear the ducka ducka in between. I only hear it when I stop playing this. I don't know, maybe I'm losing my mind. Whoa, okay, cool, sweet. I think it has something to do with this mod. I just want to get it just right. It's making it crazy is what it's doing. That is reminiscent. So here's my thing with the reverb. I would say I probably use anywhere from like 3 to 5, 3 to 7 in a set. But in terms of having it all in one preset, I really can only get maybe 3 different kind of reverb modules. That seemed to work really well for me, especially since you can just go and modulate the settings in case you need something longer or shorter. I like these two sounds a lot. Really good for when you want picking parts or doing a ton of chords. Just because it's worship doesn't mean you need to drown it out in reverb. Here's my other reverb I really like. I've gotten very close, but maybe not quite right as the cloud sound. I'm trying to get there. If you hear how it just doesn't quite shimmer off the same way. I think there's something extra reverberating. It kind of sounds like a reverb into a reverb. I think that sounds really good. I'm just being kind of nitpicky about it. This is cool. That sounds pretty heavenly to me. Yeah, I think this is like our missing 5%. Woo! Alright, y'all, I gotta admit, I'm a little bit nervous about this one. I know the preset sounds fantastic, but we're going up against real analog pedals and a tube amp, not just an amp pedal like last time. Nevertheless, it's time to put the QC to the test. Pretty good rhyme. Here's the same piece of music, volumes all match. The only difference, one was recorded with the Quad Cortex and one was recorded with my pedals and amp. honestly can't believe how good this Quad Cortex preset came out. The differences between the two are so slight. I don't think the differences make one inherently better than the other. It's so cool to have a mobile version of my pedals and amps that I can take with me on tours, for shows, playing at church services, whatever it may be. If you want to grab a copy of this preset for yourself, there's a link to it in the description down below. There'll also be bundle editions in case you've been on the fence or have been wanting to try out maybe a couple of my presets, so be sure to check those out. Huge thank you to everyone who grabs a copy. It's a big support to the channel and it really does mean a lot to me. If you enjoyed the video and the tone, be sure to leave a like before you head out, share it with a fellow Quad Cortex user, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.
Bye, my worship, please. Oh, cut. Bye, my worship. Actually, it's not even mine. Buy Justin's presets, and you will be blessed.
Who's providing the blessing?
The Lord.
Okay, I don't think that's part of the deal, but I hope you will be blessed with tone.
Amen.